we're rolling, Matt.
I suppose we have to talk about Brexit. Welcome to another Bloke in the Pub, where we're actually drinking Schrodinger's cat because we're not sure if the Brexit deal is alive or dead. Theresa May has come back from Brussels with her Chequers Brexit Deal, which is how we're going to leave the European Union, apparently on the 29th of March of next year. There's lots of kerfuffle, and I think a lot of it is because I think there was a general conception that Michael Caine would go over to Brussels and drive away with a gold-plated deal in the back of 3 Minis, pursued by hilariously inept EU negotiators. And in fact, it's ended up much closer to the fact that we're in the back of a bus, precariously balanced over the end of a ravine, about to fall off the edge, with Michael Caine saying, just a minute, I think I've got an idea. The deal, extended to 500 pages, means that we take back control of our borders and immigration. It means we take back control of our laws and the supremacy of the European Court of Human Rights. It means that we still have trade with the European Union, where we have a common rule book for doing that trade, but we can now form trade partnerships with other countries and territories all around the world at our discretion. That there'll be then a period of negotiation where we'll then decide what our political relationship will be with the EU, which on balance actually all sounds dreadfully sensible and reasonable. One tends to think that it might have been a good idea to have this negotiated before we actually had the referendum, but here we are. What you couldn't have helped have noticed in the whole process, though, is that there's a lot of resistance to the deal. So you have your Brexiteers who are arguing that this isn't Brexit, that we haven't actually left the EU because we're still in the customs union. There's another argument that we are not going to have our seat at the table to engage in decision making, but we will still be subject to many European laws, certainly if we want to have to trade with them. The biggest bone of contention is around the border, it seems, between Northern and Southern Ireland. Northern Ireland wants to stay as part of the UK, Southern Ireland is part of the EU, and if we're not in the EU, then there has to be a hard border, and that's another big bone of contention. On December 11th, Parliament is going to vote on whether the deal gets accepted or not, and Theresa May is presidentially racing around the country at the moment trying to convince everyone that they should adopt the deal. So what happens if it doesn't work and we end up with no deal whatsoever? Well, there are a number of potential consequences. The first is that on practical terms, on a daily basis, 11,000 lorries come into our country from France and they won't have the right driving licence anymore. So nobody's entirely sure whether that will be allowed to happen, and the logical consequence of that is that goods might not make it into shops and there might be shortages for a while. In the sort of medium term, it means that we might end up having to pay tariffs to import those goods once they get the driving licence sorted out. And the tariff on milk, for example, is 35%. So it means your milk is going to go up by 35%. In the slightly longer term, what that means is that those import costs going up mean that inflation goes up, the cost of goods goes up. And that might mean that the Bank of England will have to raise interest rates. So it means that the cost of your mortgage will also go up. So the cost of living basically all goes up as a result of a no-deal hard Brexit. What might also happen in the meantime is that less well-informed financial advisors might persuade their clients that the continued uncertainty about our relationship with Europe, which will persist after that, would mean that stock markets could be volatile and they should take all their money out and put it into cash. And we've already started to hear rumours and speculation to that effect in the media. What that would mean is that lots of people would be selling their stock and there'd be lots of cheap stock, and it would undermine the price of the stock markets. You might expect the stock market to not only be volatile, but also to fall significantly in value as a result of this. Of course, this is all speculation at the moment, and we're not going to know any of this until December the 11th. So, of course, Higgs Boson will be with you throughout this process. We're going to stay with you. We're going to hold your hand through the last part of the Brexit, and we're going to be back on or around December the 11th with more up-to-date news and incisive insight into what's happened. And we will see you then.